Matagal pa tayo makabalik sa yung nakaraan just before the pandemic. We would not be able to return to the old norm. Mga ano pa siguro, 2 to 3 years. Pero pag ang mga tao, nandyan ang bakuna, magbabakuna na kaagad, at least ma-minimize na. And we can achieve the herd immunity, which is a long shot.
That was President Rodrigo Duterte. He said the country should not things to return to normal, not the next 2 years.
Be that as it may, the government is now eyeing to inoculate the general population by next month. The IATF now calls on local governments to register minors up for vaccination. Good evening, I'm Gretchen Ho.
I'm Robbie Alampay. You're watching The Big Story. As President greenlights the vaccination of the general population, and the Philippines expect a merrier Christmas celebration this year.
It seems likely for the Octa Research Group, especially as they see the Delta variant's endgame coming as early as next month. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro gives us a front seat to the big story.
After gripping the country in fear for the last 2 months, the Delta variant may finally be in its endgame, says Guido David of the Octa Research Group. Based on the numbers in the past few weeks, the Delta surge already hit its 2-month peak and is now on the decline.
If we go with that pattern, then around by October, we should be done with this Delta surge in the NCR.
According to the Health Department, the capital region's reproduction number went down to 0.85, while it reported a negative 16 one-week growth rate. Assuming the current pattern holds, David projects cases in NCR could go down to around 2,000 cases per day, unless the country gets hit by a new variant of concern.
In terms of opening up, I think we could open up much more this time compared to last year. I think we're better informed now.
David says this pattern is driven by lockdowns, public compliance to health protocols, and vaccination. The IATF has recommended LGUs to start registering minors for possible vaccination.
Good news po, inaprobahan na po ni Presidente ang pagbabakuna sa general population simula po ng buwan ng Oktubre.
David says this decision to expand vaccination would help head off another surge, but warns that experts have also noticed a trend in COVID surge. The surges appear to come and go in a cycle of 2 or more months, depending on whether a new variant emerges. David says they're now talking to colleagues from other countries, like India and Indonesia, in order to compare notes. What this means is Filipinos may actually have a happier Christmas, but there are no guarantees after that. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro, we are One News.
Given all these factors, is Metro Manila ready for a possible downgrade to Alert Level 3? To get his thoughts, we have Marikina Mayor Marcy Teodoro. Mayor Teodoro, welcome po to The Big Story.
Robbie, good evening, and I'm glad to be here.
Now, Mayor Marcy, kayo, what do you think? Downgrade to Alert Level 3?
Hinihintay ito ng marami, lalo na ng mga kababayan nating nahihirapan, nawalan ng trabaho at nakakaranas ng gutom. Pero kailangan, Robbie, yung alert level classification natin should be based on two factors. First is the number of case transmission that we're having. There should be a downtrend. At present, we're experiencing a negative 16 downtrend in terms of the average daily attack rate of COVID in Metro Manila. The understanding of the Metro Manila mayors is that NCR should be treated as a region. And we acknowledge the fact that people are commingling and highly mobile. So Hindi ituturing lang ang isang area na may COVID, kundi ituturing yung buong NCR. No? Secondly, we should look into the rate of our hospital bed and ICU utilization. As we speak now, we are at the critical or high risk level now. The hospital utilization rate is still at 71 to 84%. And we should be able to improve on this aspect, Robbie.
Okay, Mayor, malinaw naman po yung sinabi niyo that you would still prefer for NCR to be treated as a region. Notwithstanding that, itong downtrend na nakikita natin, Octa and the experts say this already reflects even the first days of our shift to granular lockdown. And they're saying at the very least, it looks like if we're looking at the numbers now as a reflection of what happened 2.5 weeks ago, the granular lockdown at the very least did not hurt. What are you seeing at your level?
Robbie, the tricky part on this data is that we should also look into the number of testing that we're having. There should be an increasing number of testing in the metropolitan Manila in order to really ascertain whether we're having a downtrend in the case transmission in our active case finding. We should be able to ramp up the contact tracing, and similarly, we should be able to improve on our healthcare system. I think ito yung kailangan natin sa ngayon, at kung magawa natin to, makapagpapatuloy tayo on the reclassification on our alert or alert level to downgrade it to alert level number 3.
Okay, Mayor, just quickly, why are you expressing concern about testing? Is there dissonance from the downward numbers that we're seeing and what you're actually seeing in the hospitals?
Yes, there's a dissonance, Robbie. Plus the fact that this is also the caution provided by the DOH, by their analysts, that they're saying that there's a decreasing number of testing being done in the metropolitan Manila area, so that it follows kung kumuonte at naging hindi madami yung tinetest natin, it follows na kokonti yung results at kokonti yung nakikita nating mga kaso.
Okay, Marcy Teodoro, Mayor po ng Marikina. Maraming salamat, Mayor.
Salamat.
With the Delta variant nearing its endgame in the Philippines, vaccination remains to be one of the key factors in the fight against COVID-19. So that big number, 4 million. That is the number of COVID-19.
That is the number of COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country as of Monday. And so far, more than 20 million have been fully immunized against the virus. And with more vaccines set to arrive in the upcoming months, the government is looking to open COVID-19 vaccinations to the general population by October. These are the other big stories tonight. With pressure already mounting even from Congress, the Commission on Elections says there's a high chance that it will extend voter registration by a month. It's not only the race for the presidency that's heating up as parties slowly name their senatorial slates. Liberal Party, for one, has already identified 5 candidates under their ticket, even if they have to yet announce their presidential bet. And is there a chance for another Eraserheads reunion? Frontman Ely Buendia says there is, if and only if Vice President Leni Robredo will run for president. These big stories after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. The Commission on Elections says it's likely to extend voter registration following the passage of resolutions from the upper and lower chambers.
But the poll body expresses concerns over the extension's impact on its calendar. Jen Kalimon with the details.
These aspiring voters lined up outside the Commission on Elections office in Manila, even beyond curfew hours. Voter registration ends on September 30 or in just 2 days. Ash doesn't mind waiting for hours as long as she can finally exercise her right to suffrage.
Kailangan po talaga natin bumoto para kung sino po ba talaga yung karapat-dapat.
Comelec had earlier stressed that the deadline is final and no extensions will be made. But both the upper and lower house have passed resolutions extending voter registration to October 31. The Senate Finance Committee even delayed hearing on the poll body's 2022 budget in line of its refusal to extend registration. But Comelec is singing a different tune now. Spokesman James Jimenez told reporters that they are likely to extend voter registration. Congressman Francisco Matugas, who sponsors Comelec's proposed 2022 budget, said there will be an official announcement tomorrow.
May I ask permission of the Madam Chair to share a bit of good news to this August chamber. Commission on Election will be approving tomorrow the extension of the voters registration until October 31.
But Comelec still has concerns, including the extension's impact on the preparation of the list of voters and precincts. The data should be ready by December for the printing of over 60 million ballots. National Citizens Movement for Free Elections welcomed the development. With more upcoming registrants, NAMFREL is now planning to recruit about 105,000 poll watchers.
We have 74 million eligible voters, who have not yet been registered. The past few months, we've lost a number of voting registration days through the pandemic and also because of the series of lockdowns.
The watchdog wants to assign one volunteer per precinct as the Comelec plans to open more voting centers to avoid overcrowding. Reporting for News 5, Jen Kalimon, We Are One News.
With the filing of certificates of candidacy set to begin on Friday, the Interior Department has approved health protocols for the filing of COCs. Speaking on agenda, Undersecretary Ipimaco Densing said that after weekly meetings with Comelec, guidelines have already been approved. For one, Densing says filings will be more subdued this time around.
This time around, if I'm not mistaken, we will only be allowing the candidate and one supporter, or we call it watcher, to go to the Comelec in the local area to file. So wala na yung magarbong mapiesta ng pagpa-file.
More nominations are announced as the filing of certificates of candidacy for the 2022 election draws near. New political party Partido ng Pagbabago nominates Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte for president. The group is composed of some former members of PDP Laban, but Duterte has yet to accept the nomination. Sara has mentioned in her radio program that she will be on medical leave from October 5 to 8, coinciding with the filing of COCs. Meanwhile, former Senator Bongbong Marcos has received his second endorsement as presidential bet. This time, it's from the Partido Lakas ng Manggagawang Pilipino. However, Marcos remains mum on his plans for the polls. And an SWS survey showed that majority of Filipinos believe it is unconstitutional for President Duterte to run for vice president. The June survey showed that 60% of respondents say this is unconstitutional, while 39% believes he should be allowed to run.
But apart from the top two posts, next year's polls will also be a race for 12 Senate seats in the Senate. The Liberal Party, for one, has already named an initial list of 5. Arian Kalumpiran with the story.
A name familiar to the Liberal Party jumps ship. On Monday, Samira Gutok took oath as the newest member of Aksyon Demokratiko. The former Octa Research candidate will again run as senator, but under the slate of Manila Mayor Isko Moreno.
If LP will not yet take on how do you call it, mass organizing na kinakailangan talaga, which they've been doing naman, but on a level na
Kumbaga, hindi pa naghahanda, hindi pa kumakasa.
siguro yung parang, where am I in the universe of things?
While they welcome Gutok's shift, LP member Erin Tanyada says the party was not slow in mass organizing.
We support the moves of the Vice President to come out with the broadest possible coalition. If Samira feels that that is not within her framework, then we accept her decision.
The Liberal Party has come up with 5 names for its Senate slate, including Senators Kiko Pangilinan and Laila de Lima, as well as former Senator Bam Aquino. Senator Risa Ontiveros and Flag Chairman Shel Jokno will run as guest candidates. Tanyada remains confident that they can come up with a full slate of 12 once a united opposition is formed.
This will leave room to other political parties that the Vice President will be talking to within the next few days.
Another name might be added to the list. Senator Antonio Trillanes told Wag Po he's willing to set aside his presidential ambitions to run again as lawmaker should Robredo run for the top post.
Para nang sa ganun, makakakuha siya ng VP candidate na mas makakatulong sa kanya sa pagpanalo niya, mas makakadagdag ng boto.
But Trillanes remains firm, a unity candidate would not bode well for the opposition. But Bayan Muna Chair Nery Colmenares, who's also running for senator, believes otherwise.
If there's one opposition candidate, that will really increase a lot the chances of the opposition. If there are 3, it will increase the level of difficulty.
Meanwhile, the camp of Senator Ping Lacson and Senate President Tito Sotto is also completing their senatorial lineup, composed mostly of old-timers in the Senate as well as those who have held cabinet positions. Sotto says final talks are ongoing to invite former personalities including Raffy Tulfo. Arian Kalumbiran, We Are One News.
For the big story in sports, the Gilas Women's team proved to be no match against China after absorbing a sound 52-143 beating in their Fiba Women's Asia Cup opener. The Gilas squad managed to keep it close early, trailing by just 5 at one point in the first quarter. But it was all China after that, as the Chinese went on a rampage to outscore Gilas en route to a 91-point victory. Afril Bernardino was the lone Filipino to hit double figures with 17 points. The Gilas women's campaign doesn't get any easier though, as they face world number 3 Australia tomorrow. Meanwhile, the women's volleyball teams Rebisco and Choco Mucho have left for Thailand to compete in the Asian Women's Club Volleyball Championship. The tournament is slated from October 1 to 7, which takes a berth to the 2021 FIVB Volleyball Women's Club World Championship in Turkey in December. And for their first games, Choco Mucho will take on hometown bet Nakhon Ratchasima. Rebisco, meanwhile, will see action against Altay of Kazakhstan. Both games will take place on Friday. Time for another quick break. When we return, authorities are still not discounting the possibility of foul play over the death of Bree Johnson. And Vice President Leni Robredo gets an unexpected pressure to run for president, especially with an Eraserheads reunion on the line. Details after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. Even as evidence and testimonies seemingly point to no altercation, authorities still do not discount the possibility of foul play in Bree Johnson's death.
Her family is now demanding that her internal organs be transferred to the NBI for further investigation. At Mahune has the report.
The PNP and NBI conducted a series of reenactments following the death of artist Bree Johnson. They looked at the possibility of Johnson being strangled by a chain hanging from the rod of a bathroom shower. They then examined how Bree's boyfriend, Julian Ongpin, transferred her body from the bathroom to the bed. They also checked if the shower curtain rod was able to carry a person with the same build as Johnson. Forensic officers also studied the scratches on Ongpin to see if it was indeed the result of trying to break through the bathroom door.
Findings sila hindi pwedeng manggaling sa kuko ng tao. Hindi pwedeng bunga ng pagkalmot sa kanya kasi malalayo tapos masyado mahaba.
Police went to Ongpin's residence in Benguet to get his statement, buccal swab, and fingerprints. He told authorities that he did not have a fight with Johnson at a La Union hostel where she was found dead.
Pagbabasihan din natin accounts ng mga apat kaibigan nila na nakasama the night of Friday. Maganda naman daw yung pinakitang samahan ni Julian at saka ni Bree.
The investigation, though, has not yet ruled out the possibility of a foul play pending the complete forensic results. Johnson's family is now calling for the transfer of Bree's internal organs to the NBI so that they can complete their parallel investigation.
The important organs that needed in the case, in the investigation, are within their custody. So we are waiting for that. And please give it ASAP. And one more thing, NBI will not release a report unless completo.
Bree's mother also appealed for the immediate arrest of Julian Ongpin following his charges for cocaine possession and use. The PNP vowed to conduct a fair investigation despite Ongpin coming from a prominent family. For News 5, Patricia Mangune. We are One News.
Here are other stories from around the world. U.S. President Joe Biden received his COVID-19 booster shot on Monday, just days after booster doses were approved by federal health officials. And by doing so, Biden dismisses criticism that the U.S. should distribute more vaccines worldwide before allowing boosters at home. And still in the United States, R&B singer R. Kelly was convicted by a federal jury on all 9 counts of racketeering and sex trafficking charges. Prosecutors accused Kelly of exploiting his stardom over a quarter century to lure women and underage girls into his orbit for sex. The camp of the 54-year-old singer is considering filing an appeal.
Is there a chance for an Eraserheads reunion? Well, it seems. Gagawin ni Ely ang lahat. As long as Vice President Leni Robredo runs for president in 2022. Ely made the remark, though most likely in jest, during a Q&A session with his Twitter followers. His tweet has since gone viral, with over 40,000 likes and 9,000 retweets. Facebook user Alan even tagged Leni's personal account to let Ninang know about the news. Perhaps in jest too, she affirmed with 3 runner emojis in the comments. Senator Kiko Pangilinan, meanwhile, joked that the reunion might just make Ma'am file her certificate of candidacy on day 1 of filing, October 1. Hours after gaining attention, Ely wrote a disclaimer, saying his opinions are his own and does not represent the rest of the Fab Four. Nick Garcia, We Are One News.
In northern Samar, a homeless man is tugging at the hearts. Says he just did his best in singing, and the best was definitely good enough. Facebook user Fernan Fabrigantas posted a video of Tagapok performing the James Ingham classic just once outside his sari-sari store. Fernan said Tagapok was his childhood friend and has a mental condition. He invited him to his store every day
to give him food. Fernand's video was a hit, so much so that people have started sending help, including a makeover, clean clothes, and groceries. Favorite song ko yan.
Sasabayan ko sana yung kanta niya, kaya lang, alam ko, medyo choppy yung audio ko eh.
Buti na lang alam mo ano.
Sasabayan.
Di bale, pagka bumalik ka na lang. Ako na lang muna. Just once. Wow, joke lang. Well, that wraps up today's big story. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250.
Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. Mask on.
Wash hands!
And stay safe, Philippines. Ako po si Robbie Alampay.
At ako naman si Gretchen Ho. We are One News. Have a good evening.